Good morning, everybody. Welcome to a Monday episode of The Uninformed Fan. I am your host, Tyson TRL Business. I'm with me, as always, my good friend and colleague, looking bright as the sun today, straight out of Brazil, Mr. Jeffrey off of the Schneid. How are we doing today, sir?
Well, great, man. I got a rep for the second family, you know what I mean? Kids are half Brazilian. Everybody who I live with is Brazilian. Portuguese just talk to my house 24/7. Visit Brazil all the time. Yeah, you know. We got a rep for...
Do you know Portuguese yet?
So here's the thing, right? I can't have a conversation with you in Portuguese, but I can definitely know when you're talking about me, or what you're talking about, pretty much. So, yeah. I mean, I understand it, but I couldn't be very...
Correct. You couldn't speak it fluently, but you can kind of
eloquate. What is the eloquate? What is the word to speak, or eloquial? Anyway, yeah, I couldn't be able to speak it, unfortunately. But also a big shout out. I am wearing my Brazil shirt as well too. It is a big day in our family. April 24th is always been big because it is my wife's birthday. It is also her mom's birthday, and it is also my father's birthday. So I do want to give a shout out to each and every one of them for different things that they do in my life. My mother-in-law always helping out, taking care of everything that she can, being a great roommate. My wife being my best friend, and my dad, for being an amazing father and turning me on to sports and, making me be passionate about stuff like this. So appreciate all of you. Thank you. Very well said.
Very well said.
Thank you. How was your weekend?
I'm sure the Schneider name is living in infamy in the Brazilian nation.
There's some places in Brazil in the south that are literally like the highest rate of twins in the entire world, and everybody's blonde hair and blue eyes, because what happened was when World War II happened and all the Nazis dispersed and went to different places, a lot of them went to Brazil, and so you'll see people like Gisele Bündchen, right? Brazilian, but she was also of German descent. Anyway, so yeah, there's whatever. There's been history there before of two families marrying together, and now we have a third Schneider boy on the way. I don't
know if I ever told you, but my great grandmother's last name was Schneider.
Oh, no way.
We could be related.
I'm sure we are somewhere. Somewhere somehow. What did you do this weekend?
I did absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
I have a little bit of an issue going on. So I had a full gout outbreak. And so what if you don't?
I thought we weren't talking about that.
Whatever, you pried and prodded, and so now here we are. Yeah. So basically, if you don't know what gout is, it's a very high uric acid in your bloodstream, and it usually affects like your big toe joint and your foot. And my doctors knew that I had a high uric acid, so they put me on a medication to keep it down. I've never had an outbreak. And it's the craziest thing. One day I was perfectly fine, and the next day I could not walk. And I couldn't figure out what it is. Now, it is a part of my foot, though. I also have a problem where all of my cartilage is gone from my big toe, and that's from hitting thousands of golf shots. You know, you get up on your right big toe there. So all of the cartilage is gone, so it's like bone on bone. So I was like, I just did that. And then we actually did the research, and nope, it's a full-blown gout outbreak. So, yeah, so I didn't do anything over the weekend. I literally laid on the couch and iced my foot off and on for hours upon hours to no avail. We finally figured out last night. My wife goes, well, what about gout? So we looked it up, and I'm like, oh, shit. Then I called one of my friends who has it. He goes, oh, yeah, that's what it is. So, yeah, I didn't do anything.
Well, hopefully a speedy recovery for you. Did you watch sports? Did you watch any movies, anything at all?
I watched. That's all I did. All I did was watch sports and watch movies. Got caught up on all of the shows that I was. I'm caught up on Succession, but I thought I was still way behind. But I don't know if you were caught up on Succession or not.
I just lost my HBO membership, like the end of March, and so I'll re-sign up for it. But me and the wife are like, we're not going to re-sign up until it's done.
The streaming,
and then we'll binge the whole thing. And I've watched every episode of Succession. I love the show, and I'm highly disappointed in myself that I'm missing it in real time. But I'm looking forward.
The streaming stuff is just getting completely out of hand. Completely. So now they're coming out with Max, right? Just another Max. Yeah. I don't know if that's HBO Max, but I have HBO Max because of AT&T and my wireless plan. But you
just lost that part of it. So
yeah, so you got Paramount Plus, you got Peacock, you got this, plus you got your regular $150 regular cable bill on top of it. Of
course, gotta have it.
I mean, it's
sports package.
I mean, we're spending. Well, that's another thing. So I went ahead and subscribed to YouTube for the NFL Sunday Ticket. If you don't know, anybody out there, the NFL Sunday Ticket is no longer on DirecTV. Hallelujah. But it is now on YouTube TV, which is actually less. Go ahead.
It will be on DirecTV for those bars, restaurants, and establishments that do show games. Is that correct?
I don't believe so. I don't know how that would work.
I thought there was a caveat in there that there's something where the bars and restaurants and stuff that show games will have different access.
I think that they might have the access, but they might have a different level. But I think it would be something on the lines of Amazon Thursday night streaming, right? I mean, all of the bars still had access to that.
Yeah, it's on one random channel in the 900s on DirecTV.
Yeah, so there might be something about that. The best thing that I like about it, it was actually less. It's only $279 if you get it right now, because they're going to give you $100 off. So I went ahead and did that. And from what I could understand so far, you can stream on 3 devices. So that's huge, because NFL Sunday Ticket, you had to pay. They wanted you to pay per device if you streamed it, because I know I can't have a satellite at my house, right? So in the older days, I had a satellite. You had to pay the extra $7 per receiver, and then you could have them all on every single game. But if you stream it, they only say, no, you get one TV only. And to me, that was the biggest ripoff. They really wanted you to pay $350 per TV to have it. So last year, I kind of suffered. A little bit. But there is
about the dollars.
There's a lot of questions in regards to it. Are they going to have the 4-box games, the 8-box games, that you see on Red Zone, stuff like that? So we'll see. But if you are looking to stream it, make sure you get in there now. YouTube TV, they do have a standalone package so that you can watch all of them.
Awesome. I was so obviously wife's birthday. All of her friends came in. Big shout out to all of them too. They showed her an amazing time this weekend, coming in from all over Florida to celebrate my wife. A couple really good dinners. Shout out to Julian and Jackie over at Highball and Harvest. Took great care of them over at the Ritz-Carlton. And then we just kind of hung out by the pool yesterday. And it was funny because our good friend Joe Corbelli, who celebrated his birthday 1 week ago today, is in town with his beautiful wife and daughter. They're here for a wedding. And so they ended up staying at the JW as well. We go out there yesterday, link up with them. And the JW Marriott Grand Lakes has recently redesigned their entire pool area. There's cabanas everywhere, servers everywhere. There's some nice water slides that are off in the back. And so, I got a couple boys, Joe and, Derek's over there. And we're like, you know what, let's go down the water slide. So some of the, a couple of them, go ahead.
Are these limited access water slides? Is this like presidential water slides?
anybody can go on that's staying at the resort, but it's just something they just recently added. They're like Blizzard Beach quality, you know.
Okay.
They're pretty good. So there was one that was there like, oh, the yellow one, it's a little, you know, got to be careful on that one. It's a straight drop down, and then, you know, you kind of slide around. I'm like, come on, I'm fine. Like, what do you mean? I've been going down water slides my whole life. I'm definitely sprained my wrist. And yeah, going down a water slide, you would think that would be something that couldn't happen, but somehow, some way, I have a nice little swollen wrist right now.
Well, please
tell. That's the true sign of old age, is when you go down a water slide and somehow sprain your wrist.
Please tell me you got air though.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. Okay. No. Yeah.
It was, dude. My 6-year-old went down that same slide about 10 times yesterday.
Yeah, of course.
First of all, he's got a little, you know, there's a little something there, but he loves excitement and you know, a little bit of a psycho.
Living in the right town for it. There's plenty of thrill rides and stuff to do. That's for sure. Well, we did have a lot of sports over the weekend: NBA, NHL, and for those that you Gap Wedge Wednesday friends, the Zurich Classic, which was on. How I missed the John Daly David Duval pairing is beyond me, because that right there is just pure excitement just watching them.
Who won even? Who won the Classic? I don't even know.
Chad had it. Burns and somebody. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I literally had zero interest in it. But we did have a lot of action on NBA this weekend. A lot of games played out the way that we thought. A lot of games didn't. So let's dig on into it. We're going to break it down by the series here. We're going to start off with the Cavs-Knicks. And the Knicks are absolutely pulling away with this one. They're up 3-1. The Cavs are not going to come back. The door is shut. Knicks are coming together as a team. Cleveland's inexperience, I believe, is hindering them. Finally, it's starting to show up a little bit. These guys that haven't played in the playoffs, but the Knicks are just going to completely. I think it's over. I don't know. Maybe they get one in Cleveland. I don't know.
I think it's over. I think my problem was the Knicks with the entire time was I just didn't know if they could score enough points. I didn't know if they were a good enough team, and I loved what Cleveland had done. They get the split and they win both at home. And New York is in a pandemonium state right now. If you're looking at any of the viral social media videos about them lining the streets and climbing, you know, lights and all kinds of stuff, you know, it's quite the scene out there right now. I didn't expect this. I thought Donovan Mitchell would really dominate this series, and he has been a no-show. He should be on a milk carton, okay, because has somebody seen him? I don't have his exact averages for the series right now, but 11 points last game. I think before that, I mean, I don't think he scored over 20 in the past two. But it's been complete domination by the Knicks. Very, very sad.
Outside of the first game.
Outside of the first game, yes.
Absolutely.
I do think that there's a shot that Cleveland can win the next two and take it to a game 7. Of course. But
there's also a shot that I could win the lottery.
You don't think at all?
No.
You think Cleveland's completely done?
They're done. There's no way that Cleveland is winning 3 straight, especially in the Garden. No way. No.
Well, they're out of the Garden now. They're going back to Cleveland for Game 5.
But to win the series, they would have to win in the Garden.
They'd have to win one in the Garden, which would be Game 6.
Not gonna happen.
I'm not saying that it's over, but I'm saying that it is the lights are flickering for last call. We're doing the last call for alcohol right now. It is 1:40 a.m. at Kitty O'Shea's. You have 20 minutes to drink them and get out. And I don't know, but they need to figure it out one way or another. Cleveland, very, very disappointing. Very disappointing.
Donovan Mitchell's averaging 22 in the playoffs. Jay Swin just typed in. You know, I just think that you're starting.
There's no way he's averaging 22 in the playoffs.
That's what he said.
No way. There's no way. He had 11. He had 11.
Didn't he have a couple 40-point games?
Out of the 4 games that they've played? No.
Donovan Mitchell? Game site. Points versus New York, 31.8.
He had 38 game 1.
Last 10.
Go ahead, right? Go ahead. 30. He had 38 game 1.
Okay.
They lost. Game 2. All right. Wish I had all this ready to go. I don't know what he had for game 2, but I know Darius Garland was the leading scorer with 32 points. Right? And then game 3, he had nothing as well too. They scored 79 points. He had 22, and he had what 11 yesterday. There's no way he's averaging. Whatever.
Well,
Maybe I guess because the numbers are skewed from the 38. But
I was just gonna say, just based on the numbers you just said, 38, 22, even 11. I mean, that's still about 28. Bust out the calculator, Jeffrey. The smoke is turning. You're missing one game. But regardless, I think Donovan Mitchell has done enough.
Hasn't been effective, I'll tell you that.
I don't know how you can say he hasn't been effective.
So.
I think he's the only one that has been effective on that team. I mean, you look at the rest of the players, just look at the last game. I mean, the last game will tell you just straight up what you need to know here. I mean,
Darius Garland was great.
Okay, well, that's one game.
Played well. I think Evan Mobley, the moment has been too big for him. I think Jared Allen has been fine and serviceable and played well. I think Karis LeVert has been extremely disappointing for somebody who's supposed to give them instant offense. He's been outplayed by Josh Hart on the other end constantly. Brunson has been fantastic. Randall's been good. Robinson has been good as well too. Yeah. I mean, I didn't think the Knicks would be able to score enough, and it turns out they can just suffocate Cleveland with their defense. So, here we are.
Garland's definitely had a good series. I'll definitely give you that. I mean,
yeah, Garland's been great.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I think that the Knicks just have the momentum. I think that the Cavaliers are just too young. I think this is great experience for the Cavaliers. I think that they are going to walk away with this, and they're going to be a very scary team next year. But I'm definitely not giving them a chance. Especially, the same team I'm not giving a chance is the Clippers against the Suns, and still Kawhi Leonard is not playing. And it's just, if you're a Clippers fan, man, you just got to be banging your head against the wall. You put together this team, and you put together the team simply for the fact of the playoffs and to try to win a chip, and your best player just isn't playing because he's hurt with a right knee. And to your point, I don't know if this has to do with anything else that's going on in Mr. Kawhi's life. Maybe his mental health isn't necessarily the best. But the Clippers are down 3-1, and the Suns. I looked for the Suns to put this away. Devin Booker's just been absolutely amazing this series. Kevin Durant's going to be Kevin Durant. Chris Paul is going to do what Chris Paul does: is just dish the ball, drive, penetrate, kick it out to the right people. And the center for the Suns, what's his name?
DeAndre Ayton.
Yeah, just a menace down there. Very, very, very present on the boards. I just if you don't have Kawhi, I mean, you might as well just not even play, in my opinion.
Yeah. So we saw the story break about Kawhi's sister being sentenced for murder, and then we were confused because Kawhi played so well the first few games to go back and to start a game 3 to not have Kawhi. That was just very, very odd to us, I guess, and we didn't really understand why. I don't know if the personal things have something to do with it as well too, or if it's just it just is what it is. I think from Phoenix's point of view, I think they're playing well. I don't think that they're playing amazing. I think there's definitely room for improvement, which should be even scarier to everybody else as well. I think the Clippers have done everything the Clippers can do. I think they've competed at a high level. I think even without Kawhi and Paul George, they have been in every game. I think Russell Westbrook has been fantastic. I think going forward to put him on that team with Paul George and Kawhi Leonard and the shooters that they have and Norman Powell and guys like that is really, really good as well. It's just too much for him right now.
It is. Like you said, you have no Paul George, you have no Kawhi Leonard. It's like the team that you put together at the beginning of the season that you paid all the money for is absolutely gone. So I think that comes back to the same point of, the rest and load management, things of that. And Jeremy, I know you have a couple thoughts on this. I'm going to bring you in real quick and get your thoughts on this scenario here. There he is. Got no microphone, my friend. We got no microphone.
You might want to unmute yourself.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
There we go.
The Clippers surprised everyone when they won their game, and then the Suns said, "Hey, by the way, we're still one of the top teams, and we've got the Durantula and everything. We've got all the right pieces, so we're just going to play our game." And I think that's what we're seeing now.
Yeah, and listen, not to take anything away from the Clippers, like I said, I think they have been really good, and they've been more than what we expected them to be. Going forward in this series without those two, but yeah, it's just going to be a little too much. Listen, maybe Kawhi comes back and plays in this game 5 that they're going to have here, but I don't know if it's really going to matter. It will be interesting to see with the way that the Suns are going forward because they are very, very top heavy. They're not very deep. Obviously, they gave everything up to get a guy like Kevin Durant. So it'll be interesting to see going forward how they're able to compete against some of these upper echelon teams as well.
Yeah, I mean the Suns are only playing 9 guys, and then the 4 reserves scored 9 points off the bench. So yeah, they rely on their starters, and that could be a problem because it going into the further on in the playoffs, fouls get called a little tighter. The moments become a little more pressure, and Jeffrey, you have a famous saying about pressure.
Bust pipes or creates diamonds.
There you go.
And we've seen which one it's been so far. So going forward, I don't really have anything else on this, but obviously we'll see what happens with Game 5. I do like Phoenix in Game 5. Go ahead, close it out, stomp on them, get some rest. You guys got some older guys on your team to keep it moving. Going forward, we had a really good game last night, and it's been an amazing series in terms of the Sacramento Kings and the Golden State Warriors.
It's our pick, baby. It's our pick.
Yeah, it was looking shaky for us, Jeremy, to start to go forward. Actually, before we touch into that, because I think Tyson might want to get in on that as well, too. What do you think about Philly and Brooklyn? Because obviously Philly is able to close it out 4-0. Brooklyn, you look at it, Joel Embiid is, I think, the biggest injury that's not being talked about at all in the playoffs right now. He got an MRI. Things, I guess, did not look good on the MRI. Whenever he got it, they did rest him for Game 4. Obviously, Brooklyn goes way up. Philly makes the comeback to come all the way back and beat them and close down that series. But it'll be interesting to see what Joel Embiid, they said he needed about a week, 10 days to rest and reevaluate. I mean, it's great that they got the sweep, but how does that look for us going forward?
Well, the one problem in the playoffs is when a team gets a sweep and the series that they're waiting to go against, keeps going. There's always talk about the rust. Is it going to be, is the rust going to affect them? But I think this actually helps. Phone call right in the middle of the show, as always. They're waiting to see who they got coming up. Trying to figure out. Sorry.
In terms of the winner, yeah, I think they have the Hawks.
Celtics.
So Hawks, Celtics. So
they're not going to have to wait that long. Celtics are up 3-1. I did notice the 76ers had good play from everybody. Tobias Harris stepped up. Tyrese Maxey kind of took a step back with only 16 points in the win. But I was watching this game and Philadelphia was down, and then all of a sudden they said, you know what, we still have the better team. I think Brooklyn's got a young squad. They got a lot of good pieces that they can move forward with. Spencer Dinwiddie is a quality player that they got in that trade. And I think if Mikal Bridges shows up like he did the last 10 games of the regular season, he was averaging 35 points, I think, for like 4 or 5 games in a row. I think if those two guys can really gel together a little bit more in next season, I think they've got a good core to build around.
It'll be interesting to see what Brooklyn does going forward. You mentioned that they do play the winner of that Boston and Atlanta series, and I think whenever I look at NBA playoffs, I always look at the matchups in terms of who's on who's guarding who, and how does that work out, and where are the mismatches at. And I think, listen, Boston goes up 3-1. I loved Atlanta on Friday night in what was it, Game 3 when they were down 2-0 to go in. Tyson said there was no way. I'm like, look, listen, just take Atlanta. I think we saw the chinks in the armor when it comes to Atlanta yesterday and the way that they crumble. But if Boston does move on in this series and the way that they match up with Philly, it's very interesting, right? Because you have Tobias Harris, you have Maxey. They still have Thibault, right? Who's the crazy defender that they had that was there for Philly from before? I haven't watched them in a few games, but anyway, he was really good as well too. I just think their matchups are very interesting against Tatum and Brown. Now you have Marcus Smart guarding James Harden, and then the absolute domination that they have inside on Embiid on Williams. I think it's going to be a very interesting matchup going forward as well too.
I heard that Hawks jab. I heard that.
What do you mean?
Yeah, I heard that. I gave you your flowers on the group text. There was no reason to jab. Here we go.
I didn't think it was a jab. I was just pointing out that I loved the Hawks. They were part of my parlay, which didn't hit. Thank you, Minnesota. I'm not gonna, say anything about Minnesota like some of our other friends do whenever they lose a parlay. But I will say, listen, the Celtics are obviously the better team, and I don't know if we saw, or if you want to expound on anything that you saw. There was a lot going on. Dejounte Murray after the game yesterday, the Boston Atlanta series, bumps an official, starts yelling, going crazy at the very end. Is most likely, in my opinion, probably going to be suspended for the pivotal Game 5 coming up, which Boston is probably going to win anyway. So, unable to. Why are you giving me that look?
Pivotal. The pivotal Game 5. So you think that so you think if they win Game 5, they're right back in the series?
If they win Game 5 and have to go to Game 6, then Game 6 will be even more pivotal.
This isn't Friends. You can't pivot more than once.
Yes, you can.
You're not Ross bringing up a couch up the stairs, bro. Pivot.
God. If you had a Friends reference on your bingo card today on the Uninformed Fan, go ahead and mark that off for you folks.
I did give you your kudos though on that one. Boston came out flat-footed this game. The game that you're referring to there, and it is what it is. I mean, they just seem kind of lackluster in my opinion. They kind of went through the motions, and then when Trae Young really poured it on and Atlanta really started rallying, they tried to get back into the game. They tried to, increase the energy, but it just wasn't there in my opinion.
Did you see the Jaylen Brown, how he took off his mask and then all of a sudden ripped off like however many it was? You know why he was wearing it? He's been cleared to not wear it for a while.
Because he's Batman?
No, his mom wanted him to wear it. His mom said, Jaylen, I want you to wear that mask. I feel like you're more protected out there, whatever. So he's been wearing it ever since. And then he said it just came to a tipping point yesterday where he didn't want it on anymore. And so he wanted to get rid of it.
I don't know how anybody plays with one of those things. Have you ever worn a mask for anything besides COVID?
Besides in the, no.
Yeah. I mean, dude, no. Have you ever worn a mask for? You remember wearing a mask for Halloween?
Yeah, of course.
Bro,
it's terrible.
I don't know how anybody plays with those. And then your obviously your field of vision is reduced. There's no way to not reduce it. It's just
yeah.
I don't know. But the Celtics did come back, take care of business on the other way. They're up 3-1. We have a pivotal Game 5 coming up for the Atlanta Hawks, where they're turning this series because if it's pivotal, and I would agree that if it's pivotal, if they actually,
it might not be as pivotal for Atlanta as it is for Philly.
Well, Philly's great. Philly's great, and that's what no. Hold on, let me finish.
Well, because of Embiid, I'm saying.
Let me finish. As I said on the group text, that now that Philly is taking care of business like we thought of, 4-0, the fact that Atlanta stole a game from Boston, who I also thought could very well sweep the Hawks, is only helping out the 76ers get Embiid healthy and going into this playoffs. Will he stay healthy for an entire series, though? That is the question, but we'll get to that in a second. But to your point, so we're Game 4, so Game 5 we're back in Boston, right? Yeah. So I'll give you that. I'll give you that this is a pivotal Game 5, and I'll give it to you. If they steal one in Boston and it goes 3-2, then it goes back to Atlanta, correct? We're doing the 1-1-1.
Yep.
Okay. Then we got something to talk about. But
nobody is a bigger fan right now than the Philadelphia 76ers of the Atlanta Hawks.
Absolutely. Like I said, they just continue to sit there.
Well, we were talking about it too. Like how big is that injury to Embiid, and because if that is, you have Boston pretty much walking to the NBA Finals.
I don't think so.
Embiid's out.
Are you forgetting about Giannis and the Bucks in Milwaukee?
Is Giannis gonna play, or
we didn't talk about that. We just gave the 76ers exactly, but you just gave the Celtics a complete walk straight in. Now I'll give you that a walk straight into the finals. I'll give you a walk into the finals of the Eastern Conference, absolutely. But not
if he doesn't play.
Absolutely. That is one of the things, we're talking about the 76ers obviously took care of business 4-0. we talked about this. I don't know, since this playoff starts, I was just really surprised that the so-called, big guys, the big names in the Nets actually picked the Nets to beat the 76ers. Not just steal a few games, but to actually beat them. To me, was a little, you saw the youth, you saw the energy, you saw the guys that really wanted to be out there and play. We did see a complete effort by Boston spread across the court. But right now, the 76ers are a complete juggernaut, and especially with Embiid, who's probably going to get the MVP. Now, my biggest fear for him and for this is the Greg Oden syndrome. These big guys have very, very tough time staying healthy. And like I told you the other day, I was watching the game the other day, and Embiid's on the floor every minute. He's literally falling. He's falling over himself. Sometimes he's getting hip checked as the guy's going down. So I don't know. He's a big man. I would have to say he's probably like, 270, 280? I mean, it's not like one of these guys that's just, being thrown around like a rag doll. So to me, there's something either wrong with the equilibrium of what's happening or his just straight up coordination. I don't know. But my biggest thing is that I don't think he can make it. Let's just say the 76ers make it all the way to the NBA Finals. There's no way this man is staying healthy throughout the whole thing, in my opinion.
Well, he's already not healthy. So, I mean, we'll see. I don't know what the MRI said, right? It said that he sprained his knee or whatever. And then they said they looked at the MRI and the MRI didn't look good, is what Doc Rivers said. So I don't know what that means. I know they said 10 days. Well, 10 days is still, I mean, you're talking about 10 days from what, Saturday, right? So you're talking about he's probably going to miss. Yeah, he's probably going to miss the entire next series. I mean, I don't.
Like I said, if
the numbers work,
they don't. They absolutely don't. And if he doesn't play, then I will guarantee you, yes, that the Celtics cruise past the 76ers. I won't say that they're going to sweep them, but they will cruise past them into the Eastern Conference Finals. One of the bigger, I guess if you want to call it asterisks going on in the NBA Finals is the Miami Heat. And the Miami Heat took a game away from the Milwaukee Bucks and now lead 2-1. Now, obviously Giannis isn't playing, but we both saw what can happen when the team schemes without Giannis, and they have a plan going into this, and they completely obliterated the Heat. I seem to remember from some of the Heat teams in the past this same type of scenario where they're completely absent one game, and then the next game they're on 10 the entire game. And I don't understand it. I really don't. Like, why isn't that team cohesive all of the time? It's kind of like what we talked about a little bit about the Bulls, where they had 3 absolutely terrible quarters and they put one quarter together and win. It's not sustainable in the long term. And that's the only reason why I'm still going to pick the Milwaukee Bucks to get it past the Heat, regardless if they have Giannis, because I just don't think that type of play is going to stick, whether it's them putting extra effort throughout the whole time. So to answer your question, Justice, I'm still saying Milwaukee is stopping the Miami Heat, even though they are up 2-1 in play tonight.
Yeah, well, listen, I know Jimmy Butler went out with an injury last game as well, too. Obviously, Tyler Hero with the broken hand.
Adebayo out for the year.
Adebayo's out as well.
Adebayo's out for the year, yep.
Is Jimmy Butler out tonight as well?
I don't believe so.
Jeremy,
he's probably a game-time decision.
Yeah, if you just give me an update. I don't know. I saw him walk off the court, so I didn't know what that was about. Yeah, I mean, listen, I think we said that Milwaukee will allow Giannis to sit until they go down in the series. And as soon as they go down in the series, I wouldn't be surprised to see Giannis roll back out there and just roll through people. I don't know how significant the back injury is. It feels like it's something that he can get through with modern medicine nowadays to get stretched out and be good enough to get up and down the court. But me and you, having back injuries before, know how debilitating they can be as well. So, listen, I do like Milwaukee tonight. They will even the series back up. It will be 2-2 going back to Milwaukee. Maybe they give Giannis one more day to rest, but I just think, dude, with all the injuries the Heat are incurring right now, it's pretty much over.
And I apologize, Jeremy, just correct me. It's Oladipo is out, and Adebayo is a game-time decision.
Oh, okay. Oladipo wasn't playing anyway, so I don't really care about Oladipo. He should probably go out there and sing the national anthem. He's a little bit better at that.
And this right here is magic envy right here. This is the saltiness that is the Orlando Magic fans.
I mean, what is Oladipo good at? And
basketball apparently
is because I hated the pick when we took him. right? I was like, oh, he's a 3-and-D guy. We already have Aaron Aflalo, who wears the same number and plays the exact same thing, might just be slightly less athletic when it comes to dunking the basketball, right? But yet, here we go, and just, it's just.
I'm going to need you to take it easy on that desk. There has to be indentations from you beating your desk over there with the frustration.
There's no indentations on the desk.
There should be.
This you think is like, that's literally me, my nails touching the desk barely.
Do you know what that
sounds?
Do you know what that sounds like coming through the microphone? It sounds like an earthquake.
Maybe if I rewatched our episodes, I would, but who knows?
Yes. So, so moving on from the Bucks seat, we're going to go into the Nuggets Timberwolves, and your Timberwolves finally pulled out a game. They did not get swept. I think that's where it ends, though. However, it wasn't overtime. It was nice to see a little bit of life out of the Timberwolves show up. Maybe the Nuggets just got a little bit tired. I don't know, but kudos. They got one. So. Is this a very pivotal Game 5 for the Minnesota Timberwolves?
For the Minnesota Timberwolves, is it pivotal? Yeah, because if they lose, their season's over. Did you watch? I'm assuming that you didn't watch this game. This game was after your bedtime, correct?
I watched the first half. First half.
All right. So my take from it, I will say this: Minnesota has been in every single game that they have played so far in this series, except for Game 1. Game 1 was an anomaly. The Nuggets just got out to a race, and it was over. I think they had 7 players in double. I mean, it was an onslaught, right? There was no coming back from it. I don't understand Chris French sometimes. I don't understand this idea of putting both Karl Anthony Towns and Rudy Gobert on the floor at the same time. You have an absolute superstar in Anthony Edwards, okay? We've seen him. We've seen the way he's performing in the playoffs. He steps up. He's a leader of the team. He talks to everybody. I love what he has, and I love what he projects going forward. And we see what he is, right? 34 points last night, 6 rebounds, 2 steals, 3 blocks, just an all-round great player. But when you're running a high pick and roll with Anthony Edwards and you want him to come off the corner and attack the rim, right? Because what that does is it's going to open 3-point shooting for you. To have Gobert standing down there, you're bringing a defender who's going to stand at the rim, right? Karl Anthony Towns on the other end, if you're going to have him play with Gobert, well, now he's got to guard a guy who's a 3 when he's a center. Karl Anthony Towns is fouling out of every single game that he plays. Why? Because his legs are not built like that to move his feet. They need to play one or the other on the court at the same time. All right, either Karl Anthony Towns plays center or Rudy Gobert plays center. I called for Austin Rivers to play in this series before the series started. He finally got his first burn last night. He gave them quality key minutes, really good minutes. What it does is it opens up the floor a little bit. You got another 3-point shooter, a guy who's nitty-gritty and plays defense as well, too. Now, listen, Jokic goes off last night. I mean, Joker was incredible. 42, 43 points, something like that. Jamal Murray hit some huge shots. Obviously, Michael Porter Jr. pretty much single-handedly erases the 12-point lead that they had built in a minute and a half by himself with 4 threes in a row. What's wrong?
Nothing.
You're giving me a look.
I do have a point that I want to go back to, but I'm letting you finish here.
Okay. Anyway, Michael Porter Jr. erases the lead, gets him down there. They go to overtime. Timberwolves hang on. I feel like they found a few key things in this series going forward. I want Austin Rivers to get more of the Taurean Prince burn that's been happening. I think Walker Alexander needs to be more involved. He's an elite defender. He just needs to knock down that corner 3 and stand over there. But yeah, we need to play one or the other. This Gobert, Karl Anthony Towns dual matchup right now is not working at all. And I'd love to see the plus-minus numbers on when they're on the court together at the same time, because I guarantee you they're atrocious.
The biggest stat, what I'm going to point out of old Rudy Gobert is those 15 rebounds.
Played great last night.
I'm just saying, when the rebounds are high, teams win. Towns had 11 rebounds. Edwards 6 rebounds. I mean, if you get rebounds, guys, second chances, you're gonna be able to win. Now, I did want to. Go ahead.
Had a couple of those putbacks as well too, off like really key misses where he was just right there around and made the little tip. So
Good things happen when you
Really
crash
good.
the boards, man. Good things happen. I did have one question about your point. I agree with everything that you said there. So some absolutely great takes. I did have a question though. You said his legs aren't made that way to move his feet. Now,
I've already got caught up in the moment right now. what I'm saying is that
yes, can you please explain what type of legs are required to move feet?
I mean, all legs are required to move feet, Tyson. But what I'm saying is that he is not built to be lateral, right? He's not built to move his feet like that playing defense. He's not Michael Jordan out there, right, trying to guard Clyde Drexler. That's not what this is. And that's the position that you're putting him in, okay? He's a 7-foot soft center who shoots threes. That's what he is. That's all he's going to be his entire career, okay? He doesn't have dog in him. In my opinion, they got to get rid of Karl Anthony Towns this year, build around Anthony Edwards for the simple reason that Gobert provides something that Karl Anthony Towns does not, which is rim protection and rebounding, okay? I've been a big Karl Anthony Towns fan since he was in Kentucky. I always said him and Anthony Davis have a chance to be the best players in all of the NBA because of their skill sets and the way that they are. Neither of them have the heart to do that, unfortunately. So
We could definitely
get
see
rid of-
that in Davis.
I would get rid of Karl Anthony Towns this offseason. I would start to just build around Anthony Edwards, build pieces around him. He is your superstar. He is going to be everywhere in the next 2 to 3 years and one of the faces of the NBA.
Well, let's just hope that he gets out of Minnesota. How about that? Because let's
I
be
don't even
honest.
mind him being in Minnesota, honestly. But they need to build around. Remember Minnesota? Minnesota's had some good runs here. I mean, whether it was the Sam Cassell, Michael Olowokandi, days. You had Stephon Marbury there, Kevin Garnett. I mean, amazing as well too. Wally
But
Szczerbiak.
Yeah, but
They've had some teams, but they just haven't been able to put it together.
and there's the rub. There's the rub that is known as the Clippers fans. Well, before we get into what I think is probably one of the best series, let's talk about the Grizzlies, Lakers, and Jeff's GOAT out there. Taking a 2-1 series lead over the Grizzlies. We talked about it before as far as don't poke the bear. I think the team completely rallied around LeBron James. And he didn't have to do anything else. The team just absolutely did it for him, minus Anthony Davis, of course. And this game wasn't even close. Of course, LeBron gets hit in the family jewels. Early exit there. And then
Terrible flagrant 2 call. Terrible flagrant 2 call.
I think that, I don't know. They said that they made it a point of player safety about getting hit in the nuts. Okay.
Okay.
What?
The guy's trying to steal the basketball. LeBron's putting the ball between his legs, and the guy reaches for the ball and hits him in the nuts and gets thrown out of the game. It is egregious, NBA. Stop it. Stop what you're doing. You're tearing the game apart right now.
Tearing it apart from the top down. So,
I hate it.
After that, they weren't really even in it then. But, after that pretty much just kind of sealed the deal there. I don't know. They did make a nice late fourth quarter run. I will give them that.
Oh, Ja scored like
45.
22, yeah, but
So
he had
25
like 20
straight points.
25 straight, yeah. Which was crazy. I do think that obviously the Lakers match up a little bit better. We love. I love the Lakers going into this series. I do think that they were going to go on a little bit of a run here. Having Ja back was a little bit different. Like I said, I hate that flagrant 2 call. I think flagrant 2 should only qualify for if you punch somebody in the mouth, if you are intentionally trying to injure somebody,
A complete
or if you,
non-basketball play.
correct. If you clothesline somebody going to the rim, okay, yeah, you're out of the game. Other than that, what are we talking about?
That was a foul in the 90s.
Draymond's getting his foot pulled down. He's trying to get out of it. He steps on the guy's chest.
Here we
Should that have been
go.
a flagrant? Absolutely, it should have been a flagrant.
Okay,
But
okay.
at the end of the day, it should have been a flagrant, but not a flagrant 2.
I don't think
team-
there's any. I don't think there's any benefit to ejecting players in the playoffs. None.
No. None.
The regular
I think it's-
the regular season, yes, because you want to set the precedent, right? You want to set the precedent as far as what happens during NBA games, what type of play that we're looking for. But when it comes to the playoffs, in my opinion, there shouldn't be ejections unless it's just an absolute egregious play that has no basketball play and that is trying to specifically cause bodily harm. Like you said, punching somebody, clotheslining, like we talked about, that was a foul back in the 90s.
This is like targeting in football, which is another rule that I absolutely despise is targeting. But this is what it reminds me of. It's like you're having such an impact on the game on a bang bang play and on a play that could happen anytime, anywhere in sports. But you're now qualifying it and throwing somebody out of the game and punishing a team at an unfair competitive disadvantage. I hate it. I think tonight is going to be a very telltale sign on how this series is going to go. This is a must-win game for Memphis, in my opinion. Tonight, 10:30.
Is it?
And that being said, we talked about it. It's not okay. Well, we're done with the pivotal thing. Listen, what we said is that I don't think LeBron really cared about Dylan Brooks' comments of like, I don't respect you until you give me 40, right?
Yeah.
LeBron
Well, he
was
said
gonna
that
come
in
out
his
last
interview.
week. They were gonna.
He said in his
They
interview,
were
I'm
gonna
here to play
dominate,
game.
like, yeah, and we were like, whatever LeBron James points are, take the under, right? And I think they were. Jeremy said 28 and a half. I think he scored 25 or whatever, but or 22. It was like 20,
25.
a couple assists, rebound, yeah, assists, rebounds, right? Everything together. He was going to do it all. This game is a LeBron James game. This is a statement game. This is my house. I am one of the greatest basketball players of all time. I am
Jeffrey's
one of the greatest scorers. One of the greatest scorers of all time. And I'm going to put my stamp on this game, and I want to see LeBron James do it. And it's going to be a great battle. I will be on my back porch watching tonight after a nice dinner with family, hanging out, and I cannot wait for that 12:30 hour to just be relaxed by myself on my back porch and taking in this game.
You know, before I issue a retraction of an apology here, I just have to point out something what you said. And when you talk about LeBron in this game, I am the greatest scorer of all time. I am one of the greatest players of all time, which he wouldn't say he would say I am the greatest player of all time.
Well,
He would.
He's one of the greatest in both.
No,
One of the
I'm
greatest
talking about.
scorers, one of the
I'm talking
greatest
about.
players.
If you're saying that this is his mentality, that is his mentality. He's not one of the greatest. He is the greatest. He's said it over and over. I believe I'm the greatest to ever play this game. Whatever. I don't care about that. I'm not here to argue that point. I'm just
I
saying.
don't have a problem with that at all.
I'm just saying. I never heard Kobe say that. I never heard Jordan say it. They just went out and did it. They didn't play for stats. They didn't play. They just went out and did it. Just go out and do it. Just go out and do it, right? Just go out and do it. That's all I gotta say. And, and now I must humbly throw myself upon the sword and offer a apology. And I'm surprised that Jeremy didn't call me out on this. I said that the last game, Anthony Davis, whatever, didn't do his thing, and he actually balled out. That shows you I just wasn't really paying attention to this game a whole lot. He had 31 points, 17 rebounds. So kudos to Anthony Davis on last game. It's nice to see that you finally showed up and actually balled out. He was the leading scorer, leading rebounder, and again, 17 rebounds. LeBron James, 9 rebounds. I mean, when you get rebounds like this, man, I'm telling you, good things happen. Good things happen. So I will retract my previous statement. Anthony Davis, I would love to see this continue. As we talked about and just said, you could be one of the greatest players if you actually chose to show up and actually put the effort in and wanted to put that. Could you imagine Anthony Davis with Kobe's mentality?
Dude, him and Karl Anthony Towns at the University of Kentucky was like, that's a cheat code, dude. You're 6'11", 7 foot tall. You can shoot the three. You can handle the rock. Like you can grab rebounds. You can block shots. Like you are the complete player. I was like, dude, coming in like to the NBA, I'm like, these guys have a chance to be the best NBA players. Absolutely. And neither of them are performed. I don't know if either of them care or love basketball enough to really push themselves over that level of there's competition, and then there's turning it on and taking yourself to a point of You don't care, and nothing is going to stop you or stand in your way. And I haven't seen that from either of them yet.
And, you know, while I don't agree with it, but I will give kudos to LeBron. That's what he came into the league with the mentality of, I'm going to be the highest scorer. I'm going to do this. I'm going to break every single record. And he's done that. And that was his mentality going into it. And he's done it. And he's gotten the bag along the way. I think that what you've seen, especially in the last 5 years, with the amount of salary that these guys are now making in the NBA, which is absolutely egregious, because you got to think about it. You know, you're bringing in very, very high dollars, but the teams and the team functions and the team expenses in the NBA are relatively low compared to when you're talking about football and things of that nature, where you got the 10th man over there making $15 million a year and playing like 5 minutes. I think, you know, when you get that type of stuff, man, I think that it changes people, and you kind of see a little bit of the mentality of truly what they are. I'm not saying Anthony Davis is a paycheck player, but when you have games like this, 31.17, and then, you know, the next game you have 4 points, 4 boards, it's just, you can see when there's effort and when there's not. And we knew exactly coming out after the comments that were made about LeBron, regardless of what we feel like the team's synergy is, because we've said numerous times throughout the season that the team synergy on the Lakers has just not been there. For whatever reason, they came through last night, and they absolutely came through and balled out for LeBron James, and that was just what it is. It was over before that tip ever started, and that's why, Dylan Brooks, you don't run your mouth. That's just it. Talk when the game is over. It's much safer that way anyway, right? Yeah, if you win and the game is over, be like, yeah, I told you.
I saw him and LeBron had a nice little exchange before the game as well, too. I don't know if they were clearing the air or whatever it was.
No way.
It really matters.
I think it was LeBron telling him you're about to see what happens today.
I hope so.
I absolutely, that's what he should. Absolutely.
LeBron's a very nice player too, sometimes as well. But anyway, I you know what I mean? Like yeah, like Jordan might have been like, I'm gonna foul. You know, anyway, it's they're just different.
Let's not do this.
Mindsets. Yeah, we're not gonna do this.
Let's not do this.
But yeah, I think tonight is an incredibly big game. Listen, we'll see what happens, but I think this is a big LeBron James game tonight.
And we're in LA tonight. So yeah.
Yes.
So
yeah, second game in LA.
This is a very pivotal game for the Grizzlies.
Pivotal game of the series. Because either it's 2-2 going back to Memphis, you know, and they got a chance to put a stamp on it at 3-2, or it's 3-1, you know, and yeah.
I'll tell you, the worst thing that can happen for the Los Angeles Lakers in this series going to 7. That's the worst thing that can happen for them.
Yeah, I don't think they want that at all, and I think that they will make it a point to try to not get to Game 7 in Memphis. I'll say that.
Absolutely. Now, the series that we've just, at least myself, I've just been loving. Yes, today it's drinking game of the word day is pivotal. So every time you hear the word pivotal, take a shot. Is that the Sacramento Kings and the Golden State Warriors, and we are getting.
You gotta put that at the beginning of the episode, after the episode. You know what I mean?
We could do it like Pee Wee's Playhouse, you know, the word of the day. You know, this series is just absolutely amazing. You know, and the more I watch Stephen Curry, the more I'm absolutely amazed by what this. I was going to say little kid, because this man can do. You know, well, he is little, and he does look like a kid. I mean,
little.
Compared to other people on the floor, he looks smaller.
He's taller than both of us.
How tall is he?
He's like 6 foot.
I'm 6'1".
You're not 6'1".
Anyway, I'm just completely amazed about what this guy does. You know, I'm still calling him a kid. I don't care. He's probably younger than me too. He just hits shots from all over the place. Very, very little room is needed for him to put up a shot. You look at him at the end of the game, he's got scrapes and cuts all over his arms from battling through picks, putting it up. I mean, this series is what we want in NBA basketball. This last game, now he did almost cost them the game last night, and in my opinion, he should have cost them the game last night. The fact that the Kings couldn't get a shot off, a decent shot, without driving to the rim in the last seconds of the game, down by 1. So for those of you that missed it, Stephen Curry called a timeout with, I think, 10 seconds left. And they didn't have it.
40 seconds.
Was it 40?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Yeah. They were up by 5. They had the ball, 42 seconds left.
Oh, he calls a timeout. They don't have any timeouts. That gives the Kings the free throw and then the ball out. And at the end of the game, Sacramento had the ball with 10 seconds to go. Correct? I do believe that timeline is absolutely correct. And they were down by 1 point. And, they didn't get a good shot off, in my opinion. I just don't understand at this point. You're down by 1. Drive the lane. Make the refs make a call or not. Everybody crashes the boards. You got to spread the floor out. Let your guy go. As soon as he gets in, everybody crashes. You try to get a tip. You try to make something happen. You don't wait till the last second to put up a shot, in my opinion. Now, they did do that. They waited the last second, put up a shot, missed it. There was no chance for a rebound. I don't understand that. Get the ball with 10 seconds to go. Drive it immediately, okay? Drive it immediately. The Warriors are out of timeouts. They can't move the ball to half court. So even if they get the ball with 3 seconds left and you're up by a point, that's still a relatively low percentage as long as you keep the ball out of Steph Curry's hands, that he doesn't shoot a three-quarter shot to completely beat you. I didn't like the end of the play call at the end. I really thought that the Kings had a chance to steal this game out of Golden State, but they eventually fall. The series is tied 2-2. We're going back to Sacramento, where it's going to be a very, very pivotal game for this series.
It will be a pivotal game, Tyson, and we very much look forward to Game 5 in Sacramento. That's going to be one for the ages. So my quick thoughts on this, and if you're an NBA person, I'm sure you've heard of Ramona Shelburne. I would encourage you to go to her Twitter. On her timeline, she filed a story the other night about how Draymond Green. So when Steve Kerr came into the Golden State Warriors, one of the first things he did was he took Draymond Green and put Draymond in the starting lineup. And Draymond has pretty much started every single game in the starting lineup until last night. So Draymond Green, if you do not know, was suspended for Game 3. And I said in a previous statement that I thought Draymond needed to do Draymond things for the Warriors to get back in this series. Draymond watched the game completely subjectively by himself with him not being able to play. As soon as the game was over, he noticed how much better they played with Kevon Looney setting the high pick and rolls on the glass. He looked at some of the stats, some of the numbers, and just said to himself, you know what? We play so much better when we have one big on the court. Let me go to the arena. So as soon as the game is over, he drives to the arena. Steph's still there. Steve's still there. He goes. He talks to Steph immediately. Him and Steph work this out. They go to Steve Kerr. They go to Steve Kerr and say, listen, Draymond says you need to take me out of the starting lineup. You need to only start Kevon Looney. You need to have your 4 guards out there. Play Kevon Looney in the middle. He's giving you way better minutes. Let me come off the bench to give energy and defense and everything like that. And here we are. It's the same thing the Minnesota Timberwolves need to do. Unfortunately, I feel like they don't have selfless players like that on their team that will go forward and do something.
Well, I mean, on the same token, though, obviously Draymond Green knows his role, and his role in Golden State is 100% supportive, and he knows that.
Absolutely.
And he's coming up on a contract here, if I believe. So, obviously, he's going to do everything he can, but that was a very good point. He was only 2 minutes shy, though, of Looney in complete playing time. Put up 30. Yeah. He had 30 minutes. Looney had 32. You know that my biggest stat's going to be Looney, 14 rebounds, leading the game. Again, Draymond right behind him with 10, and then Wiggins with 8. Crashing the boards, guys. In NBA, I understand that, again,
we highly recommend it. I will say so.
Crash the boards.
Obviously, the end of the game happens, and there was some back and forth on Steph taking that shot with whatever it was, 10 seconds left, because they do get the ball, right? Obviously, so Steph gets the tech. They're down 5. They hit the free throw. De'Aaron Fox steps up, hits a huge 3. And I tell you what, if you're a Kings fan right now, I think the one thing that really stinks is how good your team is playing, how great De'Aaron Fox is playing.
38 points.
And you're still not beating him, dude. Like, you're still not beating him. And that's the biggest takeaway for me, right? Malik Monk was 16. Davion Mitchell with 12. De'Aaron Fox with 38. Keegan Murray throws up 23 for you. And Sabonis comes in with 14. That, to me, is a bigger story that the Warriors are still able to beat you while all of your guys are playing well.
Well, I'll tell you why, just real quick. I'm just going to throw out 18, 26, 22, 32, 12. That's the Warriors' points. Those are all individual players. Wiggins 18, Thompson's 26, Poole 22, Curry 32, Green 12. I mean, when you get a disbursement of points like that,
incredibly balanced.
I mean, absolutely.
That's also what's made this series so fun. And just to go back to that brief moment they had right there. So De'Aaron Fox hits the three. There is I don't know. I want to say there's like 30 seconds on the clock or 28 seconds on the clock. They inbound the ball to Steph Curry. I was talking with a mutual friend we have in TJ Sonatas, and he was actually messaging about how he thought that if he is Steph Curry, you dribble the ball at the logo all the way down until there is 1 second on the clock, and then you heave up that 35-foot three-pointer. And as long as that ball hits the rim, the game is over. You know, there's no recovering that ball. Now, the fact that Steph dribbled in, did a little shimmy, got to the free throw line, did his patented floater, missed it. They get the ball back with 10 seconds, call a timeout, and all of a sudden be able to set up a play. There's a couple different theories about how you can do that. The other problem is that if you do dribble the ball all the way down and you throw up that big heave from 30 or 40 feet and it does not hit the rim, well, now you go back to when the shot clock stopped, okay, and it automatically gets reset to that once the
But you're still only talking about a 4 or 5 second difference, right?
Correct, but what his thought process is that if you throw the ball up, it's going to take at least a second and a half for the ball to travel, right?
I agree. I agree 100%.
If the ball then hits the rim and bounces off, now you're talking about another second. Now you're talking about if they do get the rebound and it doesn't get tipped, which it probably will because it's such a long three, now you only have 1.3 to get the ball, call a timeout, and then drop a play.
I agree. I thought the shot came very, very early. And he did get a good look, though. I mean, that's the only thing is he did get a good look.
It's a patented Steph look, but, at the same time, I understand the argument the other way as well, too.
Absolutely. But, you launch a high arcing three, which we know he can do. I mean, shit. I mean, he could launch it from the just a 3-point line and get a 2-second arc on that thing before it ever hits the rim. Right. So then, like, to your point or to his point, 2 second on the arc, boom, hits it. I mean, the game's over. The only thing I could think of that could possibly hurt you there is actually fouling on the rebound by, because everybody's going to be going for that board, right? Everybody's going to be wanting that board to end the game. If they happen to foul the Kings, then now you're putting them on the line with 1 second left. So it's definitely a double-edged sword there.
Such a ballsy call to make by an official as well, too. Like, you're really going to call a little over the back or whatever it is here and there and be ticky-tacky, but officials have been a little inconsistent in these.
We have to. Like you said, though, we have some great games coming up. We got very, very pivotal games and series coming up. There's going to be so much good stuff going on here. A lot of our projections are still coming through. The only one that's really not, I do believe, is the Timberwolves. But as we said, they are still in this what. That's the only projection that we really have.
The only take that we had that's not coming to fruition so far.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. It
wasn't your take; it was my take. But
I was going to own it as well. Because we stamp it and put it out there.
We're a team here on the Uninformed Fan.
Absolutely. We're just going to wrap it up real quick now. We do have some things going on at the end of the week. F1 is finally back after it seems like a 5-year hiatus. We're going to be talking about that Friday, about how the teams have had chances to improve their cars, make changes. I think you're going to see that gap completely close out. So make sure that you check back with F1 Friday this weekend. We might have some special guests. You never know. Otherwise, we'll be pumping the knowledge as the person that has won every single week of F1 Fantasy right here. Boop, boop. You might just want to follow it. Wrapping up today, though, we are going to recap a little bit of the NHL action. We have the Islanders Hurricanes. Paulie Parput's team is looking a little slim over here. The Canes have a 3-1 lead. He talked about the fact that he didn't think that the Hurricanes goaltending was going to be able to step up, and Antti Raanta has just played a great series. Former Blackhawk, wish him the best over there as well. I think that the Canes are definitely going to get this done. We do have some good ones. King Oilers. The Kings are absolutely just firing pucks at the nets, which is what you want to do. As a fan, you always want to see it. Just shoot the puck at the net, see what happens, rebounds. The Kings are definitely taking advantage over that against the Oilers and Connor McDavid. Wild Stars are locked up at 2-2. Haven't really watched a whole lot of this one yet, and honestly, I'm not even going to comment on it because I don't really know. But I have been watching the Devils Rangers. The Devils did sneak one out the other night. It was overtime. They did get that little bit of win. I am looking forward, though, to the Rangers clipping the next two and ending that series. Now, one of the big ones, that especially down, actually, I'm going to save that one for last. So then we have the Knights Jets out on the wet coast. The Knights are starting to pull away 2-1 the Knights. They're just starting to look like the more dominant team, more shots on goal, and definitely a better goaltending. So they're looking good there. The Avalanche Kraken, the defending champs, have woken up after their initial loss to the Kraken. They've taken a 2-1 lead. We'll look forward to them moving on very, very soon. And the best team in the NHL this year, the Boston Bruins versus the Panthers. I thought the Panthers had a little bit of a shot in this one. They did sneak out the one. They held it close, and all of a sudden it was like a 10-2 lead. It felt like a rugby game rather than an NHL playoff game. And the one of the bigger surprises is the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Tampa Bay Lightning, which the Leafs have now taken a 2-1 lead over the Tampa Bay Lightning. Yes, they are up 2-1 now. So this is going to be one that we're really looking forward to. Valesky has not had his best performance this series. Now, this series has also put up more goals than anything that I've ever seen in a NHL series. I do believe the last game they had 11. You know, it would be better.
No, it was an overtime game, 4-3. And then the one before that, I believe, was 7-2, and the one before that was 8-3.
Right. So we had 9.
Am I correct?
9, 10,
7-2, 8-3,
4-3, 7-3, 7-2, and then the last one was 4-3.
4-3.
But it's
Overtime.
Again, when you're putting up 7 goals on multiple games, I mean, we're talking about the best goalie in the NHL, arguably, and giving up 7 goals. So the Tampa Bay Lightning have some serious work to do. That team is way too stacked. I'm not 100% sure if I know that we had some serious injuries here. And I'm not sure if they're actually even back yet. So let me just double check this.
I think
real quick.
Toronto had a big injury, I want to say. I did get a chance to watch some of this game because at the restaurant that I work at, we have a private dining room and it's got a television in it. And the people that were in there were big Lightning fans. So we were able to throw it up there and watch pretty much the entire game for their entire dining experience, which is kind of fun. But Lightning had this game, and then all of a sudden Toronto comes back, scores very late in the game to push it to 3-3. They go into overtime, and you know, I think I made some comment. I was like, oh, first team to, you know, get a power play. It's pretty much going to be it. And I don't even know if it was a power play, but I just saw about 10 minutes after I said that, I walk out. About 5 minutes later, I see all of them walking out with sad faces.
It was overtime. Yes.
Everything. So,
Yeah. So we'll see what happens there. It's going to be a very, very pivotal game moving up this evening. But yes,
extremely 7:30 tonight on TBS. By the way,
7:30.
You
and
tune into the Superstation, watch some hockey.
And as we get a little bit further down the road and we start narrowing down the teams and not so many games and NBA games to cover, we will start diving in a little bit deeper on some of the hockey stuff here. But as you know, we only have an hour. We'd like to keep it at an hour for your listening pleasure. So
I do want to mention the Ryan Garcia Gervonta Davis fight this past weekend was one of the biggest fights in boxing as well too. And I thought Tank came up, he showed up, he showed out. There's a lot of controversy going on right now as well too. Obviously Garcia lands more punches, Tank lands more power punches. Tank catches him right in the liver for an unbelievable shot, which really crippled Garcia. He gets the standing 10 count, and then the fight was over. After the fight happened, Garcia, I guess there were some accusations that Tank had a mole in Garcia's camp who was feeding Tank information on everything that was going on throughout the entire camp, which, you know, he could have just watched Showtime as well, too, instead of having to plan a mole. But, you know, whatever. What are you going to do? Anyway, great fight. I look forward to it. I love to see Shakur and Davis as the next fight going forward. I know Davis is going to take some time off, though. And Garcia will probably bump up some weight classes, so we probably will never see a rematch of this as well.
as long as it's not Jake Paul, I'm down.
Yeah, no, this is actual boxing.
I like it.
Really nice.
I like it. Well, that's going to do it for us this Monday edition at the Under 4 Fan. We're back Wednesday with the Censored Burrito Boys. They're going to be giving us our take on the whatever tournament's going on this week, as well as the Zurich Classic Roundup. And we'll be getting into a little bit more of these results of the pivotal games of the NBA playoffs. So,
We've actually installed a mute button now. So when Chad starts to go off on his tangents and curse, we can just hit a beep. You and then we unpause it and he's still cursing and beep again, so it'll be fun.
I think Mr. Chad has realized that there is another language that can be used in broadcast television, and he will adhere to the FCC policies that we have laid out for him.
And the thing is that that we have a 14-year-old who watches us, right? Like, he's obviously, the 14-year-old is leading our golf pool. He's destroying us all. You know that he watches every single Wednesday. You're gonna come out here with that kind of language.
Exactly. There's no spot for it in this day and
Kiss
age.
your daughter with that mouth, Chad?
Exactly. Shame. And we will shame you again on Wednesday when you come in to make sure that you have learned your lesson.
Shame.
Thank you, everyone, for coming in, checking out. We will recap everything, including all of the pivotal games from the NFL, NBA, and the NHL on Wednesday. We're getting, again, with the Censored Burrito Boys on Wednesday as well. We'll talk a little bit of Gap Wedge Wednesday. We'll see you in there. And then Friday, we have everything going into the weekend. Formula One Friday.
NFL Draft Breakdown.
NFL Draft is coming up on Thursday. Looking forward to it. We'll talk to you then. Everybody have a great day. Thanks for tuning in. Talk to you Wednesday.
Be great.